Hi class, my name is Jonathan Beltran and I'll be discussing for week 3 formative and summative assessments. What are two unique ways for each of these types of assessments and what are their unique characteristics that are different as well as similar between formative and summative. To begin, I'll be discussing formative assessments. Now, the goal of formative assessments is to inform while instructing. Now, the way we do this is so that teachers can react in real time and modify instruction, including how the material is being taught and which students are receiving extra help or extra challenge. Now that's with formative assessment. Now, formative assessment includes informal checks for understanding, asking students to verbally respond when you're giving an in-class lecture or you're doing a lab and you ask them for a knowledge check. How can this be done? Why should it be done? What is the next step, or what is the process that you're currently doing? What is it called? These are all types of formative assessments. Now, apart from responding to questions during the lesson, we can also include quizzes. Now, these quizzes can be at the middle of the unit, and they can include diagnostic tests prior to teaching. So during the middle of instruction, during instruction, and prior to beginning the lesson, those are three different methods that we can use for formative assessment. Now, how about the counterpart, summative assessment? Well, summative assessment is important because it allows us to determine if students met the learning target in a specific amount of time that has been set. Now, this can be done with a unit test at the end of a unit or an end of grade test. Now, an example of this would be high school exit exams. These are summative assessments that are a summary of everything that they learned in a specific amount of time, and they're given at the end. Now, summative assessments don't include year-long or multiple years. They can include weeks at a time or months at a time of assessment. Now, once the student has learned for a week, month, or a year or several years, then they're assessed. Again, that is called summative assessment. A summary, if you will, of everything that they learned, and now they're being assessed on it. Now, a unique thing about summative assessment, and it ties with formative assessment, is that depending on how a test is used, it could be summative or formative. How so? Well, a pre-test that you give would be formative. Now, how about that same test, but it's given at the end of a unit? Well, at the end of a unit, it is called summative. So a pre-test is formative, an end of test after a specific amount of time is summative. Now, a third point that ties these both together is that instruction is more effective when both formative and summative assessments are used in your classroom. So I look forward to implementing these in my classroom. Well, how so? Well, definitely for summative assessments, I look forward to, after a week, a month, or even at the end of the whole school year, using these types of assessments to gauge whether my students learn or not. It's very important. Now, for formative assessments, I look to implement pre-test prior to beginning my whole lesson that we're going to spend weeks or months on. I want to get the knowledge check of my student to know what they know before going into the lesson. Now, these are just some of the many ways we can use formative and summative assessments, and I hope you can glean some insights from my video, and I look to hear how you are going to implement these in your classroom, and for those that are already teachers, how they're doing so already. So thank you, and I look forward to watching all of your videos.